Democrats. Well, good evening and welcome to Owensboro and the Forward Together Dinner. Let me hear it one more time from one of these leadership. So I'm Mama Ford, and I know it's hard to get everybody in the same place at the same time for a family dinner. But tonight we managed to fill this room with friends who feel like family from every corner of our Commonwealth. And I'm proud to stand before you, not only as a mom, but a teacher, a rural Kentuckian, and as a proud Kentucky Democrat. And as someone who believes that all Kentuckians deserve what they need to build better lives for themselves and their families. And that's what Governor Bashir and I have been laser focused on in our 5.5 years in office. You heard it. We don't get distracted by cable news issues of the day and the latest outcry from the extremists. We show up and we work on the things that truly matter to Kentuckians. And I'm honored for the job of introducing our keynote speaker tonight. He also understands the importance of showing up and focusing on making people's lives better. Since his election as the DNC chair in February, he launched the You launched the People's Town Hall to do just that, to show up and listen. He's overseen historic investments into state Democratic parties like Kentucky's, so that red states have what they need to show more people what people first leadership really looks like. Now, I could go on and I could list all of the important things on his resume that you can do on. But I really wanted to get to know Ken Mark before I introduced him. So I called up a dear mutual friend of ours, who happens to be Minnesota's Lieutenant Governor, Peggy Flanagan, soon to be Minnesota's U.S. Senator, Peggy Flanagan. And I asked her to tell me about him. And she went on to share with me that Ken gave her her first job in politics, which for the young gentlemen in the room means that when he sees talent, it doesn't matter how old you are or young you are, he knows what's good, right? She also said that as she was losing her mother, Ken Martin showed up to the hospital and sat with her in one of the hardest moments of her entire life. We talk a lot in Kentucky about showing up for each other and being there through the tough times. I don't know that anybody understands that better than Chair Ken Martin. He has proven it time and time again. And what an honor to have him join us at this dinner tonight. So Team Kentucky, let's give a warm welcome to tonight's speaker, the Chair of the National Democratic Committee, Ken Martin.
Sometimes people think if you want to make a difference in this country or in your community, you have to run for public office. Right? That the only path to making a change is through actually serving in government. You see, I actually like people like Jacqueline, who actually served the community before she ever served in public office. Because when we talk about servant leadership, you find those people who are serving the community before they were ever actually serving in office, and that's your Lieutenant Governor. Thank you for all you do. I'm glad to be here tonight. It's great great to be here in Kentucky, as I mentioned. It's great to be with Democrats who, like me, understand something important. That there's no such thing as a permanent red state. I'll tell you who really understands that. And that's your governor and my friend, the one and only Andy Beshear, the most popular governor in the country. It was wonderful to see the governor tonight. And it's wonderful to see the lieutenant governor, of course, my great friend, the chair of your Kentucky Democratic Party, Coleman right there. The vice chair, the lead governor over there. And of course, one of the greatest executive directors in the country, Morgan Eves, who's just doing a great job. Thank you, Morgan, for letting me. Now let me just say this, your governor knows that when you do the work, when you look out for folks, no matter who they are or where they come from, and when you give people something to believe in, and give them a real sense that their lives are better with Democrats in office than the rigid political identities that so many get stuck in, become a lot less rigid, especially across our redder communities. You see, that's how we bring people into the fold. That's how we welcome them into our tent. That's how we get people believing in the Democratic Party again. And I'll tell you, we could use some old-fashioned belief right now in our party. 7 months ago, we got punched right in the gut. No sugarcoating it. I was angry. I know all of you were too. That was a tough one. For all the reasons. It wasn't just that we believed in Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz. It was who we lost to. Because we all knew what was going to happen, and we see it living out every single one of these horrible past few months and certainly days. I would tell you the first thing I said when I was elected to lead the Democratic National Committee is that we're going to take the gloves off. We're going to push back. We're going to punch back when we need to, and we're not going to be weak anymore as a Democratic Party. And you know what? But the Democrats are spineless. Think about that for a moment. See, one of my mentors, my first boss in politics, was a bushy-haired college professor from Minnesota named Paul Wellstone. And Paul used to say that you should never separate the life you lead from the words you speak. I want you to think about that for a moment. Because I want to ask all of you tonight, truly, this is a question for Democrats in this moment. If we are not willing to fight like hell for the things we believe in, do we really believe in them at all? Think about that. Yeah! If we believe in them, we have to stand up and fight. We have to stand up and fight back, and we have to stand up and fight for what we believe in every single day. Yeah! You know, I've been at this job for 4 months. And here's something I learned really fast after becoming the chair. A lot of people in D.C., and I'm not a creature of that town, trust me. I love my state of Minnesota. But I will just say this. There's a lot of people in D.C. that just want to win the argument. I'm not one of them. I want to do the same thing that each of you do, which is to win elections. And here's the thing about elections. And you know this here in Kentucky. They're not won in D.C. They're won in the states. They're won in places like Kentucky. They're won by all of you. They're won because bold leaders like Coleman and Elridge are doing things like growing the Blue Dot program to train Democratic leaders in year-round organizing. They're won because Andy Beshear and Jacqueline Coleman have demonstrated what leadership looks like, making life better for Kentuckians, creating tens of thousands of new jobs, and reaching out to rural communities. When we give people a sense that you give a damn about them, when we use our capital to actually improve people's lives, and when we put our efforts into organizing to build meaningful relationships with voters, that's how Democrats show their might. So I started this job in February, as I said, and I've been going nonstop. We've been to more than 22 states at this point in 4 months. If you ask me if there's a limit to how many cups of lukewarm hotel coffee one man can drink, I'll tell you yes, honestly. I hit that limit about 10 states ago, to be honest with you. So. But we're doing this because I said we need to get the DNC out of D.C. out of DC? Are we moving the headquarters? No, it's changing the mindset. You see, too many people in Washington focus on just building federal power, right? They forget that elections are won in the states, and the way we build power for the long term for this party is from the grassroots up. We organize everywhere. We need to build in the states. That's why one of the first things I did is put our money where our mouth is. As of now, as Bert Morgan said, the DNC is investing $1 million each month into state parties to help folks just like you doing more trainings, hire more staff, invest in better data and tech, and do even more organizing. Now look, we're on top of that, we started coordinating to build a party that looks 10 years in front of us. Now look, I'm from Minnesota, so I have to use a hockey analogy, right? So forgive me. But Wayne Gretzky said once that you have to skate to where the puck will be, not where the puck is. You see, we can't just myopically look at the next, this election cycle, and maybe the next election cycle. I want you to think about this. The Brennan Center just came out with a report that said that the 5 fastest growing states in the country are all in the South. Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Texas, followed by Florida. 6 of the 10 fastest growing states right now are all southern states. In 2032, the blue wall will no longer exist. This is the last presidential election that will be decided by states in the north, because states like mine in Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New York, Rhode Island, California will all lose congressional power and electoral votes to southern states. You see, so if we just focus on one election cycle and we don't plan for the future, we're going to be in a permanent minority. So we have to actually skate to where the puck will be. We can do both. We can win the moment and win the future at the same time, and that's what we're doing at the DNC. But we have to win right now too. We have to do big things today. So we reimagined how the DNC does its work. We've expanded how and where we invest, and we said to ourselves, this Democratic Party is not going to be afraid of anything, and we're building momentum. We have wind at our backs. Look, we took a plus 23% Trump district in Pennsylvania, blue for the first time since the 1880s. We kicked Elon Musk to the curb in Wisconsin when he tried to buy a Supreme Court seat. We historically in those special elections in Florida. Think about this. We knocked a 3-term Republican mayor out of office in Omaha, Nebraska, and in the past couple of weeks, we won in Texas, in Mississippi, and South Carolina. That's the new DNC. We're going to fight everywhere.
Yeah!
But you know, some of those same people I mentioned in D.C. Now, Perky, you know a lot of those people. Yeah, that's right. Don't listen to them. Listen, a lot of those same people think that not every race matters. I'm not one of those. I believe that every single race matters in this country. Because every inch of ground that we gain adds up. Local races, county races, municipal offices, they all matter. Look, as Democrats, we know what we have to do now. We have to sharply define who we are. We have to speak to the issues that matter to all, not just the elite few, and we have to organize. 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 Of all the titles I've held throughout my career, organizer is the one I cherish the most. And I have not forgotten my roots. Because my motto at the DNC is this: when we organize everywhere, we can win anywhere. That means we don't give up on red states. That means we don't give up on rural counties. We take our message everywhere. We organize everywhere. We speak to everyone about our values. We roll up our sleeves, get in the trenches, and listen to people again. And look, the sides right now couldn't be any more clear. I want to talk about a great Minnesotan who some of you know. He was a mayor of Minneapolis, went on to be a U.S. Senator, went on to be vice president, and of course our presidential nominee in 1968. His name was Hubert H. Humphrey.
Yeah!
And Hubert Humphrey said once that the moral test of government is how government treats those in the dawn of life, our children, those in the twilight of life, our seniors, and those in the shadows of life, the sick, the disabled, the handicapped. I want you to think about this right now in this moment with this big, ugly, monstrous bill that's working its way through Congress. Is it moral to steal? Is it moral to steal food from starving children in this country? No. Is it moral to kick seniors out of nursing homes? No. Is it moral to take health care away from the disabled and the handicapped? No. This is what we're talking about right now. How dare the Republicans talk about helping people in this country? They haven't done one damn thing to actually improve people's lives. I'm a Midwesterner. I grew up in Minnesota. What you might not know about me is my mom was 15 years old when she had me. She was raising 4 kids by herself by the time she was 20 years old. I don't say that to get some sort of pity here or share a sad story. There's many people in this room and throughout this country who have similar stories. But let me tell you, as these Doge brothers and Elon Musk were running around looking at spreadsheets, trying to figure out what they cut in government, they pushed forward this terrible bill. Behind every single number on a spreadsheet is a person like me, is a family, is a child, is someone who's relying on government to create a safety net so no one falls through the cracks. We cannot permit that. When I see these guys in Washington brokering shady backroom deals to line their pockets and steal health care and food for billionaire tax cuts, I literally get sick to my stomach. They have no shame in taking meals from hungry children. They have no shame in ripping postpartum care from moms or shuttering rural nursing homes. They smirk at their own corruption and they threaten anybody who doesn't kiss the ring. Meanwhile, small businesses collapse from tariffs and mayors plead for help, federal help after tornadoes level their towns. Look, the most important 3 words in our Constitution are the first 3. We, the people. Now look, that phrase in the Declaration, that power belongs to all of us, not to kings or tyrants. We don't crown monarchs in America. We don't bow to violence. We don't allow intimidation to replace democracy. That's where we're at. The assault just the other day on Senator Alex Padilla was an assault on all of us, on the idea that every voice matters, that every public servant should be able to do their job without fear. Now look, if this is what they're willing to do, in broad daylight, to an elected leader with cameras rolling, then anybody and everybody who openly disagrees with this president isn't safe. We the people will not be silenced. We the people stand together. We the people will prevail. We're fighting hard. We need to make it clear, everybody, that none of what we're seeing is okay. I want to say this because when I grew up, and this is true of so many of you in this room, there were values that united this country that weren't ideological, weren't partisan values, weren't Democratic or Republican values, things like respect for the Constitution, the idea that we believe in the rule of law and due process, the belief in separation of powers, the belief in a free and independent press, the idea that we would stand with our allies always in protecting emerging democracies around the world, and so on and so on and so on. These were not Democratic or Republican values, these were American values. And as this joker in the White House talks about Make America Great Again, he forgot the values that have always made this country great. We need to rise above partisanship, remind people that it's the Democratic Party. Here in Kentucky, you are doing a great job. It's critical that we reach out to folks. That is, show them what we believe, what our values are. You know my father-in-law? He's an 85-year-old farmer in southern Minnesota. He farmed 800 acres of corn and soybeans and 400 head of black Angus cattle. His family spent 135 years farming that land. Now look, he voted Democrat his whole life, he voted for Obama in 8 and 12. Yeah, he voted for Trump in 16, 20, and 12. Yeah, I'm sure you guys have people like that in your family too, right? My brother, who's a union carpenter like me, I'm the first card-carrying union member to ever be elected to the DNC chair. But let me tell you something. My brother, voted Democrat his whole life, voted for Trump 16, 20, 24. So we've got work to do. But I asked Dave O'Rourke, my father-in-law, why he voted for Trump. I thought he would give me some sort of ag policy or something about farming, some reason about issues. And this is what we have to understand. You're going to think I'm crazy when I say this. People don't vote on issues or policy. They vote on perceptions and feelings. And for the first time ever last year, the perceptions of the two political parties completely flipped on their head. With the majority of Americans now believing that the Republican Party best represents the interests of the middle class, the working class, and the poor, and the Democratic Party is the party of the wealthy and elites. Think about that for a moment. That's a damning indictment of where we're at. But it's also a challenge to all of us to remember who we are and remember who we're fighting for. When I asked Dave O'Rourke, why did you vote for Trump? And he said to me, and this is him talking, he goes, none of my kids, including your wife, want to come home and farm this land that we farmed for 135 years. The clinic on Main Street, where I bring my wife who has Parkinson's disease, is closed down. Now I have to drive 100 miles for health care. The high school, which your wife went to and I went to, has consolidated with other schools. I no longer have a Friday night football game to go to. You start realizing as you're going down this list of things, he's 85 years old. He should be living carefree without no anxiety about his future. Yet here he is. Dave O'Rourke is feeling like his identity is being taken from him. His town is drying up. And no one gives a damn about him. No one sees him. He's feeling like his whole world is changing, and all he wants is to be seen and heard and valued. That is the challenge for the Democratic Party. You see, we lost ground with so many people because they don't feel like we're fighting for them anymore. So when we talk about fight, it's not just fighting against Donald Trump. It's fighting for something, and more importantly, for someone. It's being a champion for the underdog again. It's being a champion for the people feeling dispossessed and forgotten and left behind. That's who the Democratic Party always was. You all know that. That is the challenge for us as Democrats. So look, I just said we need to give people a sense of what we stand for. And that means focusing on a Democratic agenda that unites families across race, age, background, and class. I always say that the things that unite a corn farmer in southern Minnesota, like my father-in-law, a steel worker up on the Iron Range in Minnesota, and a new refugee in the Twin Cities, is that each has a job, each has a dream for their family, and each wants to live safe and secure lives. We have to live our values loudly and boldly and without apology. And we have to remember what called us to be Democrats in the first place, because this fight isn't just about a party. It's about people. It's about families. It's about every community in Kentucky and across this country. At the heart of this American experiment is a simple but radical idea that everyone deserves a fair shot. No matter where you're from, no matter where you live, no matter who you are or who you love, every single person should have an opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead, to build a better life for themselves and their families. And we know the truth, that opportunity is not handed out equally, that for too many, the American dream feels more like a distant promise than a lived reality, that barriers of race, class, zip code, and circumstance still block that path forward. Well, not on our watch any longer, because I'm here to tell you, a new day has dawned in this Democratic Party. We are the party of full employment, not endless struggle. We are the party of safe and thriving communities with clean air, clean water, and a healthy planet for our our children. We are the party of economic security for everyone, not just the wealthy few. We are the party of dignity, where wages lift people up and no one works full time and still lives in poverty. We are the party. We are the party that believes that a child born in the poorest town in Kentucky or in the poorest town in Minnesota should have every chance to climb to the top, and then we do that to pull others up as well. Because it encapsulates who we are. He said we all do better when we all do better. Think about it. It's so simple, but it's so profound. It's not just a slogan. It's a mission. It's a call to action, because when we say all, we mean all. Not some of us, not the chosen few, but all of us. That is our mission. So before I go, let me leave you with this. And it might sound a little unexpected after everything I just said here, folks. I'm not here to win a fight. You're like, what the hell are you talking about? You're the DNC chair. You spent most of your lifetime in elections. Yeah, you're right. We have to win, of course. We have to win elections. The consequences are so stark. You lose elections, we see what happens, and when you win elections, as you all know here in this great state, great things can happen. But you know what? Winning is the beginning. Right? Politics is not a game. A lot of people treat it as a sport, right? If you put a tally mark up on the board, isn't it great? Pat yourself on the back, raise a little trophy, be proud you won an election, go home. No, listen, at the end of the day, politics is really about improving people's lives. We fight and organize and campaign because people's lives are on the line, because the stakes couldn't be any higher. We fight to elect leaders who share our values, leaders who believe government should lift people up, not tear them down. We fight to form a government that doesn't just govern, but gives a damn about its people. So let me say loud and clear to all of you tonight. We don't build political power to hoard it. We don't build it to sit on it. And we sure as hell don't build political power to use it as a weapon. We build power to use it, to make lives better, to tear down barriers, to lift up every family, to turn the American dream into an American reality for every single person, no matter where they start. That only happens, Democrats, if we do the work. If we build a foundation, precinct by precinct, county by county, state by state. And I'll tell you this foundation is already rising right here in Kentucky. So let's finish the job. Let's show Donald Trump and every Republican standing in the way that we have the people, we have the values, and we have the future on our side. And together, not someday, not eventually, but now, we will win, Democrats. Thank you so much.